Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Eardley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome everybody, welcome to episode 20 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan. This week we're going to be talking all about growing your business. My name's Catherine Eardley, I'm your host as well as the founder of the Resilient Retail Club. The Resilient Retail Club is my membership group for creative product businesses and you can find out more at resilientretailclub.com. So I'm delighted to be back with you this week. I had to take a week's break. I had the dreaded coronavirus. I am beyond delighted to be through the other side of it now. So you'll just have to excuse if there's any slight coughs during the episode or a little bit of croakiness. Hopefully you can forgive me that. So this week I wanted to talk about a topic that I find really fascinating. And it's a topic that I work with a lot of my one-to-one clients on. So a kind of typical one-to-one client for me would be somebody who has started their business and it's grown and then they've got to this point where all of a sudden they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or they want somebody to help them walk through how to take their business from where it is right now to the next level. And it's a process that I absolutely love. I can't get enough of it. It's so fascinating to me to see how businesses grow and to see how founders really adapt and what some of the challenges are with more and more sales coming into your business. It's not something when you first start out that you really think about. Probably your first thought, if you're at the beginning stages, is, I just need to sell more. But then actually, as you sell more, as I love to say, new level, new devil. So often you are dealing with different challenges you've not had before. And then you've got to start being creative and thinking about ways to overcome them. And what I love about these particular challenges and working with people who are in the growth stage of their business is that it really reminds me a lot of my degree. So I did a degree in international business at Warwick University many, many years ago before I really knew all that much about business. But one of the things that we did was quite often we were looking at case studies of various different businesses and how they adapt. And it often comes down to processes, how people look at their workflows and how people look at the structure of their team. So it is a really fascinating process to kind of help a founder break down their business, look at what's working, look at what's not working, looking at the bottlenecks and helping them identify ways that they can improve things, streamline things, and basically get ready for the next level. What we're going to talk through in this episode is just some of the things for you to be thinking about as you're growing your business. Now, if you're at the point where you are at very much the beginning stages, and maybe you're wondering to yourself, well, maybe that's not me yet, it's still worth thinking about it because it can come quicker than you imagined. A lot of people I've worked with this year in particular, when we went into lockdown, for example, in April, their sales just absolutely shot through the roof. So they weren't expecting to be dealing with these kind of volumes this quickly. And once you've got a really great product and a great brand and a great way of talking to your customers and great processes in place to get more people through the doors of your business and to get them coming back and buying more frequently, then you can be surprised by how quickly things can take off. So even if you are at the stages where what you're thinking about is how you need to have a few more sales, then that's fine. Hopefully you'll still find this episode useful. I think this is also a really good time to be thinking about this particular issue, this issue of growing and scaling, because we've just come through So this is going to be going out the Thursday before Christmas week. So a lot of people, a lot of you who are listening, maybe you've already completed your Christmas selling for the year. Maybe you've shut down your shop because you don't want to be dealing with shipping delays for the final week before Christmas. Or maybe you're finishing up some final orders. Maybe you're going to be pushing into next week as well. Who knows? But chances are you have come through the kind of peak of the Christmas selling. And what's great about the Christmas time period is it's almost like a bit of a trial run. So, for example, your business may operate at a certain level most of the year. But then if your sales jump up at Christmas time, it gives you a bit of a taster, an idea of what it could look like if your sales were this high all the time. So if you are somebody who is growing, but you haven't quite pushed through to that next level yet, you're not thinking about making major changes to your business, it's still worth reflecting back on the time period that you've just been through, this time period with higher sales, just asking yourself, okay, I coped with it this time, but how would I cope with it if this was what my sales were like every single month? Of course, we'd like to think we'd all be delighted, and I'm sure you would be delighted, but it's worth doing a bit of pre-planning because it can also feel quite scary and overwhelming when your sales really take off and you're not ready to go. Let's start by thinking about some of the things that you want to ask yourself when you are scaling your business. Now, just to point out as well, if you go to resilientretailclub.com/toolkits, I have got 3 toolkits, one for people starting, one for people growing, and one for people scaling. The toolkit for people who are scaling, it contains an ebook, and the ebook is called 101 Questions to Ask Yourself as You Grow Your Business. So if you're listening to this episode and you're finding it really useful, or you find this is the stage that you're at with your business and you're interested in a little bit more detail about this topic, then I do suggest that you go ahead, sign up for the Scale Your Business Toolkit, and amongst other things, you'll get access to the ebook, which will go through literally 101 questions that you can ask yourself. But let's just go through some of the different themes that you might be wanting to ask yourself about. The first thing is, if you are at a stage where you're looking to grow your business, I would ask yourself why. Now, it may sound like a bit of a stupid question. Well, why wouldn't you want to grow your business? But it's still worth asking yourself, do you want to grow? There is nothing in this world that says you have to grow your business. If it's at a level that you're perfectly happy with, you don't like managing people, for example, and you know that you don't want to bring anyone else in to help you, then maybe that's absolutely fine. Maybe you want to keep your business exactly where it is. But if you do want to grow, ask yourself why. What do you expect to achieve in the long term? There's a great exercise I love doing with clients where I ask them to imagine that it's 20 years in the future and to ask themselves, when they look back on the last 20 years, what story do they tell about their business? Do they tell a story that says they kept it exactly the same size, or do they tell a story that says, actually, I grew this business to be a multi-million-pound business and that's what I'm aiming for? So before you start thinking about growing your business, scaling your business, I think it's worth asking yourself what that even means to you in terms of 5 years, 10 years. Is it about a number of people that you've got working for you? Is it about a certain turnover goal? Like, what do you actually want? And don't get caught up in what other people might want. Even your accountability buddies or your small biz friends, it's not about what they want. Their life and their choices are going to be different to yours. So what do you want? What is the right answer for you, for your family, for the goals that you have for yourself, both personally and financially? And think about that before you really go any further in thinking about scaling your business, because it means a lot more and it's a lot more rewarding for you to build a business that is based on truly what you want, rather than telling yourself that you have to grow your business if actually that's not what you really want to do. It may well also be worth asking yourself, are there particular ethical or sustainability considerations? Are there other things that you want to build into your business growth? So the first thing that you're going to think about then is your purpose for growth, or why you want to grow, what growth even looks like for you and what you're even aiming for. The second thing to think about is the structure. And this is where having just been through a really busy time will be really, really helpful, because hopefully, I say that in the nicest way, a busy time will have highlighted to you where there are perhaps areas for improvement in terms of the structure. And that's a really good place for you to start. Or if you think about having a much higher level of sales than you normally do, what were the areas where it all got a little bit wobbly? So where are the pinch points? Where are the hold-ups? Is it you, for example? Are you the person who's actually delaying things because everything has to pass through you and you've only got one set of hands? Do you have equipment constraints? So maybe there's somebody who's working with you, or you could, in theory, bring in other people to help, but you don't have equipment. Do you have the right people in to support you? And basically, when you were dealing with this higher volume of orders, how exactly did these pinch points and bottlenecks start manifesting themselves? And start thinking about that. And it's a really great way to have a springboard into thinking about what's going to need to change in your business as you grow. The structure can also be not just about the workflow, but it might be about the actual structure of your business. So for example, once you hit the VAT limit, which is around £84,000, then that is going to have an impact on the prices that you're charging to your customers potentially. And if you don't change your prices, then it's going to have an impact on your profits. So thinking about, did you get close to the VAT limit? Are you going to be pushing up against the VAT limit in the near future? If sales continue at a higher level, it's all worth thinking about. And also, are you currently, for example, a sole trader? Whereas if you continue growing, you're going to need to be a limited company. Do you have people like good accountants who can help answer these questions for you and help you understand what the legal implications are about the structure of your business as you grow as well? After structure, really the next thing to be thinking about is people. So we touched on this briefly when we talked about the bottlenecks, because ultimately one of the ways around bottlenecks is going to be by putting more people into the business. But it's always worth thinking about who you've got in the business right now and what tasks there are to be done, and do you have the right people helping you? There's a really good book called The E-Myth Revisited. It's a little bit of a dated book, but it has a really good exercise in it, which I definitely recommend if you are in the growth phase. And it's something that I've definitely done with clients and found very helpful. And that is for you to map out the perfect business structure in terms of not the people, not names, but the roles that you would ideally have. So maybe you need a customer service expert, and you need somebody to do packing, and you need somebody to be dealing with all of the logistics involved in getting the products in, and you need someone who's doing marketing, and you need somebody who is dealing with your wholesale accounts and managing those. And what you can do is you can map out the various different roles or the various different people that you need in the business, and then have a look at who's doing those roles right now. And it could well be that at the moment you're doing all of it, right? So you are doing the customer service and the packing, and you're dealing with the wholesale people as well. But what it allows you to do, if you map it out like that in the outline phase, as opposed to putting names against particular roles, just thinking about them as the roles themselves, it will help you start identifying that if you do want to bring somebody in to support you, you can see clearly the types of jobs that need to be handed off. So you can start thinking about, all right, who can I bring in? Who can I bring in to support me? And now, if you already have people in the business as well, you can start thinking about, do I have the skills I need to support me? Do I need to bring in anybody else? Who do I currently have? What roles are they taking? And then what other skills would I like to hire in? So again, it just helps you to be a little bit more strategic, a little bit more structured if you actually map out the roles as opposed to thinking about who the people are. And then you can start identifying where maybe the weak points are and where you can get people to come in to complement the skill sets that you've already got in the business and to bring in new ones. Okay, so we've talked about structure, we've talked about purpose, we've talked about people. Something else for you to think about is you as the founder. And something that I think is really important to get clear before you start thinking about growth is actually, what do you as the business owner want? Now, we've talked about the purpose, which I think is also really important, but then also just thinking about some of the practicalities, like, are you paying yourself enough? So if you're looking to grow your business, have you set parameters around how much you want to be paying yourself from your business? And are you going to be able to put anything into place to say that if you're going to grow the business, then the reward that you're getting, the financial reward that you as the founder are getting from the business, has to grow too? Otherwise, what is the purpose? So I know that in the podcast before I've referenced profit first, which I really love as a way of running your business. But the person who writes Profit First, one of the things that they say, which I think is so true, is that they say people talk about scaling a business so they can grow it, so they can get more money, but they talk about it in a very abstract way, or they kind of miss the point that what if you just paid yourself more at the first place instead of trying to grow with the hope that one day you will be able to pay yourself more? It's almost like you have to put paying yourself more as an unnegotiable part of growing your business. So I would definitely suggest that you as the founder think about, if I'm going to grow this business and if I'm going to go to the effort of bringing in new people or expanding it or doing more with this or taking on premises or whatever else it needs to be to get over these bottlenecks to move to the next level, how are you going to build in a guarantee that you as the founder are going to be able to pay yourself more? The other thing to think about is, as you grow, is, do you have the support that you need? Now, some of that will be the practical element, as in, do you have the right people around you? But do you also have a coach or a mentor or somebody that you can bounce ideas off? Are you going to be able to get some support as you go through this process of scaling the business? Because what you're going to be attempting to do is take your business somewhere that it's never been before. Another thing to think about and to ask yourself, and really seriously as a founder, is, are you prepared to delegate in order to grow? And the reason I say that is because so often one of the things that gets in the way of business growth is that founders who are incredibly tenacious, which is really important, talked about this lots of times, how it's important to be really, really persistent and really stick with things in order to grow. They've been really great at being tenacious and persistent. They have worn 100 different hats in order to get themselves to this point. But now the realization comes that in order to get bigger and in order to grow, you have to be able to step back and somebody else has to be able to do some part of the business. So the question you have to ask yourself as the founder is, as well as asking, do I have the right support? Do I have ways of making sure that I'm going to be financially rewarded as I grow this business? You also have to ask yourself, am I ready? Am I prepared to delegate? Because delegation it's often not as easy as it sounds. And it's often about learning not just to delegate, but also to really teach people how to do what you were doing. It's how do you motivate people to care as much about your business as you do? It's how to put in procedures and processes so that people can understand what you want from them. And it's resisting the urge to hand something off to somebody and then immediately take it back if you don't think they're doing it as well as you would do it. So there is a lot in there around delegation, and it's just really worth you as a business owner thinking, you may say that you want to grow, but are you really truly prepared to delegate? Because there's nothing worse than when people don't really delegate. It can cause a lot of unhappiness when people are being micromanaged or they're given a task to do and then having it taken away. So very much worth asking yourself, are you ready to delegate? Okay, so another part of you growing your business is knowing your numbers. So you knew I was going to end up saying this because I always end up talking about this. But just think for a minute about, if you want to grow your business to the next level, how well do you feel that you know the business right now? So do you feel like you're clear as to what's driven your success so far? Do you have the ability to look at the analytics to understand which products, which channels, which advertising, marketing activities has been really driving your sales, which will then give you the information you need to push forward and to grow further. Do you understand which of your stock is working and which of your stock needs to be cleared as you go? Are you really clear that you're making enough money on every sale? Do you know which of your products are the most profitable? Do you know what your average profit margin is? Do you know how much stock you've got in your business right now? Do you feel like you've got a process and a proper series of steps for you to put into place so that you're forecasting your stock and you're managing your stock, and it's not just a question of piling in more stock in order to do more sales? Have you looked at the impact of becoming VAT registered, for example, if you're about to push through to that limit? Have you put in a process for reviewing your prices regularly? Do you look at clearing out old or underperforming stock on a regular basis as well to make sure that your cash flow keeps coming in? So all of these things, all of this knowing your numbers, the kind of, if you like, business management side of running the product business, then this is all really important for you to get comfortable with, because what happens is as businesses grow and the numbers go up, then if this sort of discipline isn't in place, then the numbers just get bigger, and it doesn't necessarily follow that the bottom line gets bigger as well. Ask yourself, do you feel like you have structures and processes in place which mean that as you grow, you can feel really confident that your bottom line is going to be growing as well as your top line? Because going back to everything I said earlier, as the founder, one of the things you need to agree with yourself almost as a non-negotiable is that if you're going to be growing this business, that you as a founder should be being rewarded more financially. But if you don't have all of these processes and structures in place, the risk is you just end up with bigger numbers, bigger sales numbers, but bigger expenses, and ultimately not a more rewarding bottom line. Another element that you have to think about as you're scaling your business is your products. So obviously the products that you've got in your business are doing well if you are thinking about scaling. So have you thought about how you're going to evolve and move on your products and keep moving your product strategy forward? Do you have a plan for introducing new products? Do you have a plan for how you get inspired about new products? Do you know what kind of split you normally have between repeats of bestsellers and newer, more experimental products? If you are looking to grow, have you thought about what this means for your product range? Are you intending on bringing in new products to help you grow? Or are you looking to buy more depth in existing products? Do you feel like your supply chain will support you with that growth? Do you think there are any weak links? So, for example, when you think about growing, are you actually concerned that perhaps some of your suppliers won't be able to deal with an increase in capacity? Do you have a plan in place as well for thinking about how to get better prices on your products as you grow? And are there any suppliers that you need to have a conversation with to see whether or not they can come along with you on your growth plans? So there's a huge amount to think about. If you've had a really successful Christmas season and you're looking into next year, again, thinking about, okay, so if you want to grow, if you want to get ready for more sales in 2021 than you had in 2020, then again, thinking about, are you going to be putting all of that emphasis on your biggest selling season? Maybe it's Christmas, maybe it's the summer if you're perhaps a wedding themed brand, for example, or wedding related brand. Are you going to be expecting that your existing product ranges are going to sell more? Or again, are you going to be looking to new products in order to actually boost those sales? So there's lots for you to think about. But I suppose really the key question that you have to ask yourself, which I hinted to at the beginning of this section, is really it's about, do your supply chain, or will your supply chain be able to come with you on this growth journey? And if you're not sure, or if you feel like there's a risk that they won't, it's always worth looking into that and exploring alternatives, other suppliers, thinking about that now than in the middle of you seeing a huge spike in sales and then not being able to meet that demand. It could also be about whether or not, if you've been making products, for example, do you have to bring in additional people to help you? To wrap this up, the last thing, and possibly the most important thing for you to think about as you scale your business, is how can you take your customers with you on this journey? How can you keep delighting them? One of the most important things that you need to do is really take the customers along with you on the journey and make sure that as you grow, you are maintaining or exceeding your current standard of customer service, because nothing will damage your business more quickly than rapid growth without great customer service. So think about from the get-go, how can you deal with a higher volume of inquiries? Again, this is where you've had the benefit of going through a really busy period right now. So you've probably already been dealing with some of these things. But what can you put into place to make customer service management more effective? Can you create a loyalty scheme? Can you create autoresponders or other ways of pulling together all of the messages that you might be getting as a business so that you can make sure that none of them are getting missed? Can you include your customer in your growth journey? Talk to them about what they want to see from you. Talk to them about any improvements that they would love to see as you grow. And fulfillment is a big piece of this as well. How do you currently send out your products to the business? Is it you doing it? Do you have any help? Is it something that you can outsource? Is it something where you may need to start thinking about premises if you don't already have them? So there's lots for you to think about. But throughout all of this, the question that you have to keep asking yourself is, how are you going to make this the best possible experience for your customer? So I hope that you found this a really useful episode and given you some food for thought as you get ready to move into 2021. As I said, it's a really exciting, fascinating process to work with a business as they scale. If you've got any queries or any questions, I do work with people one-to-one very specifically on this topic. Otherwise, though, do take a look at resilientretailclub.com/toolkits and take a look at the Scale Toolkit, and you can get the ebook with 101 questions to ask yourself as you grow your business. As I said, hopefully lots of food for thought. Do hop over to Instagram at Resilient Retail Club. Share a photo of where you're watching. I love to see where you are, where you're tuning in. And also just let me know, what was your biggest takeaway? Are you at this stage now where you're thinking of scaling? Or are you still very much in the earlier stages of your business? Is there anything that's really keeping you up at night or weighing on your mind in terms of what you're thinking about as you grow your business? And of course, if you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate and review the episode. It really helps me getting it out to more people. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to be the first to hear about any new episodes as they are released. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, the Resilient Retail Club is the place for you. With a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretailclub.com.